Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Sydney on the last leg of his three-nation tour. He reaches Australia from Papua New Guinea, where he participated in the Forum of India-Pacific Islands Cooperation Summit. He was at the G7 meeting in Japan before that. And this is the first time that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Australia since 2014. The Indian Prime Minister will hold bilateral talks and meet Australian business leaders and Indian diaspora before leaving for India on Wednesday night. Now, ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said that Canberra and New Delhi share a commitment to a stable, secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Together, they have an important role to play in supporting this vision. Now, several Indians in Australia are excited to see Prime Minister Modi in Australia after many years, as they eagerly wait for the Prime Minister's interaction with them.
Tamil Arts and Culture Association is warmly welcoming Honorable Prime Minister of India, Modi ji, and it is the proudest and happiest moment here in Australia going on, and all community has come together and at the front of Shangri-La and welcoming our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji.
I'm definitely going to shout welcome and wave the flag a lot. Yeah, that's probably it. Say welcome.
Yeah, sure. So I'm here to meet Modi and to greet him. We've come from Melbourne. And I have my 10-month-old daughter with me, so she's equally excited to meet Modi.
And I want all of us OCI holder to get the right to vote.
Super excited to meet our brave Prime Minister.
We have been waiting since 7 o'clock here. Yeah. We represent the Indian financial industry. State Bank of India CEO, myself, we have been very much eagerly waiting from here since after evening. So we are very excited to meet him, and we're just waiting when he comes so that we can all wish him.
Now, Prime Minister Modi's Australian trip comes after he visited Papua New Guinea. This is the first time an Indian Prime Minister visited the region. India and the United States are actively seeking to counter Beijing's influence in the Indo-Pacific. Now, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Sydney, as we just told you. This is his last leg of the three-nation tour. He was in Japan for the G7 summit. Then he visited Papua New Guinea, first such visit by any Indian Prime Minister, where he held cooperative talks with his counterparts. And now he has finally landed in Sydney, Australia. Now, in the coming 2 days, there will be high-level diplomatic talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his counterpart, Anthony Albanese. Now, this also comes at a crucial time when India, Australia, along with support from the United States, they are all forming a sort of an alliance to counter Beijing's hostilities, as they are called, in the Indo-Pacific. And speaking on this, just ahead of Modi's visit, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has said that Canberra and New Delhi share a commitment to a stable, secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific, and together they have an important role to play in supporting this vision that both the countries agree on.
और मैत्रीपूर्ण संबंध बनाने के लिए इस फोरम की स्थापना की गई थी जो कि तो ये जो फोरम फॉर पीस.
Now, for more on this story, we are being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibul, live from Ground Zero, Sydney, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just landed. Siddhant, welcome to the broadcast. The Indian Prime Minister has arrived, of course. What are the next 2 days looking like in terms of diplomacy?
Well, the Prime Minister has just arrived. There's a lot of commotion around me, so bear with me on that part because there's a lot of police presence as well. The Prime Minister, of course, will be meeting the members of the diaspora. We just saw the Prime Minister being greeted by the members of diaspora. He, of course, will be meeting the CEOs, Australian CEOs, and then, of course, the meeting with the Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. Now, essentially, the focus has been from the Prime Minister's side that how the relationship can be strengthened further. We know that on the table will be issues like Indo-Pacific, issues like critical technology. Of course, both India and Australia are members of the Quad. They are members of the Indo-Pacific region. In a sense, they have been supporting Indo-Pacific. But being the members of the Quad, both countries are keen that they can use this platform to further stability in the Indo-Pacific region. Now, if I can give you a ground report essentially as to what is happening around me is that the Prime Minister has just come. There's a lot of security personnel present around me who, of course, are, making sure that there is no untoward incident. Because remember, Australia has seen instances of Khalistani extremism in the past, and there has been a concern regarding it, and that is why the security personnel around me have been taking stringent measures, so to make sure that the media is even kept away a little far from the Prime Minister's arrival. But essentially, focus we will see when it comes to India and Australia, perhaps announcing key initiatives in various subjects, also on making sure that how they can further their defense and security cooperation.
Siddhant, now we know that this visit to Australia by the Indian Prime Minister comes after his 2014 visit, and of course the visuals also we are getting in from Sydney. The diaspora is extremely elated and they're excited to see their Prime Minister land in Sydney. But going back to the diplomacy part of it that we were talking about, this definitely comes at a crucial time. In fact, if we analyze the comments made by the Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, just before this visit, he keeps talking about a secure and safe Indo-Pacific. And we have to talk about China and its role in all of this. So how much of this angle and how much of China is going to come up during this visit?
Well, China is a big worry for both India and Australia, and while there will be no direct reference to China, the fact that there will be references to free and open Indo-Pacific is a message to Beijing. Of course, Beijing is moved by the G7 communique. It will be closely watching what India and Australia do. I can guarantee there will be no mention of China even when both the Prime Minister will be addressing. But the fact that the leaders say that there are powers who have been indulging in aggressive actions, that is the message indeed to China. We know that when it comes to India, the border issue has been something, a cause of concern for India after the Galwan incident of 2020, in which India lost 20 of its soldiers. A relationship has plummeted. The External Affairs Minister has several times publicly stated that relationship is not normal. Then, of course, when it comes to Australia, we know that the relationship has seen the weaponization of trade by the Chinese against the Australians. So Australians and Indians are keen to combine their, of course, capacities for the region and make sure that when it comes to aggressive actions by countries like China, that can be thwarted. But today, here in Australia, the beginning of the Indian Prime Minister's visit will be seen in positive light in several aspects, because Australia is keen to get allies, especially in the Indo-Pacific, and they see a natural camaraderie with India.
Absolutely, Siddhant, and we will be tracking very closely this high-stakes meeting by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Thank you for getting us all those insights. That was our principal diplomatic correspondent reporting live from Sydney.